Hello guys, here I introduce you to the third module Phase Equilibria in Chemistry for Process Engineering 2. I think I'll try to cover all over the portions containing this module. This module contains the topic Nernst distribution law and its thermodynamic derivation, association and dissociation of solute, chemical combination of solute with the solvent, application of Nernst distribution law, principles of solvent extraction, Parkes process, numerical problems of distribution law, solubility of partially miscible liquids, critical solution temperature, phenol water, triethylamine water and nicotine water systems, distillation of immiscible liquids, steam distillation and its applications. Let's move on to the first part, that is Nernst distribution law. This law was introduced by scientist Nernst. What is Nernst distribution law? It states that when a solute distributes itself between two non-miscible solvents in contact with each other, there exists for similar molecular species at a given temperature a constant ratio of distribution between the two solvents, irrespective of the total amount of the solute and irrespective of any other molecular species which may be present. If we have two solvents, solvent A and solvent B, also these are immiscible with each other, means these liquids incapable of being mixed to form a homogeneous substance. As an example, oil and water. So we can see a partition layer in between these two liquids exists as heterogeneous system. Then we introduce a solute X into the system. The solute keep distributed. After the equilibrium attained, there exists a constant ratio of distribution between the two solvents. Means if we take concentration of solution as Ca and concentration of the solute in B as Cb, then Ca by Cb is a constant. This is known as Nernst distribution law. The conditions for these laws are constant temperature, existence of similar molecular species in the two phases in contact with each other, and the solutions are dilute, etc. Next we can discuss how can we derive Nernst distribution law thermodynamically. First we can remind the conditions once more, that is provided the molecular state of solute is same in the two solvents and temperature must be kept constant. Also solutions are dilute. Also we can discuss one more thing, that is effect of temperature on distribution coefficient. What is distribution coefficient, or it is named as partition coefficient? It means that the ratio we early discussed, that is Ca by Cb. Okay. If solute is sparingly soluble in solvent, then saturation point, that means no more soluble in solvent. If solute is sparingly soluble in solvent, then saturation point may be attained. Saturation point means no more solute is insoluble in solvent, even at very low concentration. When saturation point is attained, the concentration known as solubility. Now we can look that how can the temperature affects on the solubility. Here Nernst is applicable at constant temperature. So if temperature is changed, then the value of K, distribution coefficient, will also change because the temperature affects the solubility of solute in solvents. As summarized, when temperature changes, there must be the solubility changes occur. This solubility change leads to the change in concentration that may lead to the distribution coefficient change. This is the change observed with the temperature. Now we can discuss about what principle is used to derive this law. We all know about the Clausius-Clapeyron equation. Here one substance exists in two phases. Am I correct? Here the substance X exists in phase 1 and phase 2. At the equilibrium state, the free energy in both phases are same. Hence, chemical potential becomes same. This is the basic principle. The derivation is based on the fact that chemical potential of any substance existing in two different phases at equilibrium is always equal. Here we represent chemical potential of solute in A as mu A, chemical potential of solute in B as mu B. At equilibrium, we know that mu A is equal to mu B. The equations of mu, that is chemical potential, is equal to mu 0 plus RT into ln A. Here A is the activity of solute in solvent, or another terms effective mass of solute in solvent. So we can write mu A is equal to mu 0 A plus RT into ln A. Mu B is equal to mu 0 B plus RT into ln AB. At equilibrium state, we said that mu A is equal to mu B. Hence, we can rewrite or we can equate these two equations. Hence, rearranging this equation, at last we can see that ln AA by AB is equal to mu 0 B into mu 0 A by RT. At constant temperature, mu 0 is also constant. We know that R is a universal constant also. Hence, we can see that LHS side is constant. So, we can rewrite the equations ln AB by AA is equal to constant. Taking antilog on both sides, AB by AA is equal to e raised to constant. We know that e raised to constant is also a constant. So, AB by AA is equal to constant. This is the one form of the Nernst distribution law. Okay. But we can also rewrite it in the form of concentration. We know that Nernst distribution law is applicable for dilute solutions. Dilute solutions are ideal solutions and hence follows Henry's law. All you know Henry's law. According to Henry's law, the concentration of solute in any liquid is directly proportional to effective concentration of solute present above it. Here the term concentration of solute in any liquid means mole fraction of the solute. Okay. Hence AA is directly proportional to mole fraction of A. Here we can rewrite as AA is equal to Ka into Xa and AB is equal to Kb into Xb. Then next step, Kb Xb divided by Ka, mole fraction of Xa is equal to constant. Mole fraction of B divided by mole fraction of A is equal to Ka by Kb into constant. Here at last we can obtain mole fraction of B divided by mole fraction of A is a constant. For very dilute solution we can use mole fraction as concentration. Hence Cb divided by Ca is a constant. This is the typical form of Nernst distribution law. Next we move on to the association of solute. It is the most important application of Nernst distribution law. We can consider a mixture of non-miscible solvents. Taken solvent 1 and solvent 2 in here phase 1 and phase 2. X is the molecular formula of the solute. You can see in the diagrams. In this case, solute gets associated with one of the solvent, that is phase 2 solvent. The first solvent, there is no change in the molecular state of the solvent. Here I indicate phase 1 no change and phase 2 is association. When the association process coming in chemical equilibrium, here the reaction NX gives X into N, where NX is the single molecules and Xn is the associated molecules. We can represent C1 is the concentration of solute in phase 1 and C2 is the total concentration of associated molecules in phase 2. Kd is the distribution constant or distribution coefficient. First, we consider chemical equilibrium reaction, that is Nx gives X into N in phase 2. That is Nx is the single molecules and Xn in the associated molecule. Here apply the law of chemical equilibrium between associated solute molecules and the single molecule. According to chemical equilibrium law, K is equal to concentration of X raised to N. K is the equilibrium constant divided by concentration of associated molecules. Rearranging this equation, concentration of X raised to N is equal to K into concentration of associated molecules. Taking nth root of equation becomes concentration of X is equal to K into nth root of concentration of associated molecules. But the concentration of associated molecules in phase 2 is equal to C2. Substituting this value in the above equation, concentration of single molecules is equal to K into nth root of C2. According to Nernst distribution law, Kd is equal to C1 divided by nth root of C2. Here Kd is the distribution constant and C1 is the concentration of solute in phase 1 and nth root of C2 is the concentration of solute in phase 2. This is the mathematical expression of association of solute in one of the solvents. Next one is the dissociation of solute. The symbols are same as the previous slide. In this case, solvent gets dissociated in one of the solvent. Here, phase 2 dissociation occurs. That is, X is dissociated into A and B. Here, C2 is the concentration of solute dissociated into solvents. The solute undergo dissociation. A fraction forms A and remaining forms B. Alpha is the degree of dissociation in the solute in phase 2. Concentration of A is C2 alpha. Concentration of B is C2 alpha. According to distribution law, C1 by C2 into 1 minus alpha is equal to Kd. This is the mathematical expression for dissociation. Next, we move on to the chemical combination of solute with solvents. When the solute enters into chemical combination with one of the solvent, here phase 2 solvent, there is no change in the general equation of the Nernst distribution law. As represented earlier, C1 is the concentration of solute X, C2 is the total concentration. The chemical equilibrium reaction X plus Ns gives X and S. Alpha is the fraction of the solute enter into the chemical combination. C2 into 1 minus alpha is the concentration of uncombined solute molecules. Also, C2 into alpha is the concentration of complex molecules formed. Here apply law of chemical equilibrium. We can get K is equal to C2 alpha divided by C2 into 1 minus alpha into concentration of solvent. Solvent is in large excess, concentration may be taken as constant. Then the remaining part C1 by C2 is a constant. Next, we can note that applications of Nernst distribution law, that is study of association of a solute, study of dissociation of a solute, distribution indicators and study of complex ions. Next, we can move on to the next topic, that is solvent extraction. In laboratory, it is frequently used for the removal of a dissolved organic substance from aqueous solution with solvents such as benzene, ether, chloroform, carbon, tetrachloride, etc. The advantages is taken of the fact that the partition coefficient of most of the organic compounds is very largely in favor of organic solvents. The basic principles involved in this method is that a solute distributes itself in a fixed ratio between two immiscible solvents, which is usually water and the other organic solvent. The metal extraction systems are classified mainly into two types on the basis of the nature of the extract species. Next is the important area, that is Parkes process. Parkes process is a pyrometallurgical industrial process for removing silver from lead during the production of bullion. Bullion means the valuable metals like gold, silver, etc. It is an example of liquid-liquid extraction. It is based on the principle that if 1% to 2% of zinc is stirred into a molten lead, a compound of zinc with gold and silver separates out and can be skimmed off. Okay. Then we can derive general formula which enables the calculation of the amount of the solute that is left unextracted after a given number of operations. Here we can use the expression V for volume of solution, W for the weight of the solute. Small v is the volume of solvent immiscible with first. W1 is the mass of the solute that remains unextracted. Then we can write Kd, that is distribution coefficient is W1 divided by capital letter V divided by W minus W1 divided by small letter v, or W1 is equal to W into Kd into V divided by Kd V plus V. Similarly, at the end of the second extraction, the amount W2 that remains unextracted is given by W2 is equal to W1 into Kd into V divided by Kd V plus V, which is equal to W into Kd into V divided by Kd into V plus small letter v all square. In general, the amount that remains unextracted at the end of n operations, Wn, will be given by Wn is equal to W into Kd V divided by Kd V plus small letter v all raised to n. Next we move on to the solubility of partially miscible liquids and CST. Partially miscible liquids become more soluble with the increase in temperature, and at a certain temperature they are completely miscible. This temperature is known as the critical solution temperature or consolute temperature. The temperature above the phase gets affected by the addition of impurities. Next we move on to the phenol water system. Please look at the diagrams. Phenol and water are only partially miscible at ordinary temperatures. Therefore, on shaking these two liquids with each other, two saturated solutions of different composition, one of phenol in water and the other of water in phenol, are obtained. The mutual solubility of phenol and water increases with rise in temperature, and therefore the concentration of phenol in water as well as that of water in phenol goes on increasing with rise of temperature, and ultimately at a certain temperature the two conjugate solutions change into one homogeneous solution. Here I given the picture, that is variation of mutual solubility of water and phenol with temperature. Next is the nicotine water system. As shown in the figure, nicotine and water shown upper as well as a lower consolute temperature. In other words, these liquids are completely miscible above a certain critical temperature, that is upper consolute temperature, and again below a certain critical temperature, that is lower consolute temperature. Between these two limiting temperatures, they are partially miscible. The solubilities of these liquids in one another at different temperatures are shown graphically here. Evidently, the upper consolute temperature is 208 degrees Celsius and the lower consolute temperature is 16.8 degrees Celsius. Between these two temperatures, mixtures of water and nicotine separate into two layers. Next part is the distillation of immiscible liquids. Distillation can be used to separate two liquids that are fully mixed together to form a solution. When two liquids can fully mix together, they are called miscible liquids. Liquids that do not mix and form layers are known as immiscible liquids. The distillation of liquids which are almost insoluble in each other by non-mixed liquids is carried out with a steam distillation. One component has its own vapor pressure independently of the other component. In such mixtures, and the vapor pressure of the mixture is equal to the sum of the vapor pressures of the component forming the mixture. Boiling will begin when the total pressure is equal to the outside atmospheric pressure. With steam distillation, non-volatile organic materials which are decomposed at the boiling point can be distilled at lower temperatures, and non-volatile matters such as organic salt can be removed from the medium. In such cases, simple distillation is not used even if it is in vacuum. Here I shows a picture of immiscible liquids and steam distillation. The steam distillation process occurs like this. This is a diagrammatic picture. Here we can see the liquids steam distilled over and separates out. The applications of the steam distillation are widely used in the manufacturing of essential oils, for instance perfumes. This method uses a plant material that consists of essential oils. Mainly orange is extracted on a large scale in industries using this method. Application of steam distillation can be found in the production of consumer food products and petroleum industries. They are used in separation of fatty acid from mixtures, etc. These are the points noted out, the applications. Hence, thank you. Keep learning.